want you to know that I'm gonna miss your love the minute you walk out that door. So please don't come.
Man, after watching that, I definitely need to chug a beer. Cheers. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ADiktion TV. I hope everybody is having a good Friday evening. Man, that shit was intense, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I got a pretty good little buzz right now. We're gonna drink and we're gonna talk about this series. Today's video is my review for Dahmer, now streaming on Netflix, bro. Excuse me, bruh. This shit was crazy. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about if I liked it, what I thought of it. Do I think it was good? I'm gonna try to keep spoilers to a minimum, but if you know what happened in real life, then you already know the ending to this story. But before we get into the video, if you haven't already, go down, grab the like button, grab the subscribe button. That would be dope. So, yes, I've watched Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer Story, streaming on Netflix. And all I want to say to start this video off is, man, this is extremely good. It's very good, man. Evan Peters playing Jeffrey Dahmer. He nailed it, bro. I was blown away by his performance. Niecy Nash, who plays his neighbor, she killed it. The guy who plays his dad, I can't remember the actor's name, but he was the dad in Step Brothers. Man, everybody in this show did a very good job. Evan Peters as Jeffrey Dahmer is definitely, in my opinion, the best portrayal of Jeffrey Dahmer we have ever seen. Y'all know how we've gotten those little cheap straight-to-DVD movies in the past, like My Friend Dahmer and Dahmer vs. Gacy and shit like that. You know what I mean? But this was extremely well done. The music they put in this, I was just like, man, this shit is crazy. They got this little song, which y'all probably seen at the beginning of my video. It plays through like almost every episode. It seems like this song's in every episode. It's probably not, but it's like, man, I like the song choice, because you look at the lyrics, it's like, you know, I don't want you to go. I mean, and Jeffrey Dahmer, he was the type of person, he was lonely. He didn't want people to leave him. Now, when it comes to like the horror and the suspense in this show, I think it was done extremely well. Like, for example, cheers. One thing I really like about it is the blood and gore. Like, yes, there's blood, there's a little bit of gore, but what I like about it is you're hearing the killings and everything that's going on from the neighbor's point of view through the vents in her apartment. And I thought that was a lot creepier and scarier than actually watching him commit these acts, because it's theater of the mind. You know what I mean? It leaves it all to your imagination. I thought that was a very good choice for this show. Was like, let's not show the audience everything. Let's let the audience hear it, but don't show it to them. And all we're seeing is Niecy Nash's reaction to the sounds through the vents. Now, don't get me wrong. Evan Peters as Jeffrey Dahmer, he nails it. He kills it. He did a great job. But it's almost like the real star of this series is Niecy Nash, who plays, you know, Jeffrey's neighbor. I'm not saying anybody didn't do a good job. I'm just saying it's like her story just as much as it's Jeffrey's story. And like I said, you know, she hears these killings going on in his apartment. She's hearing power tools go off in the middle of the night from him dismembering bodies. The smell. She smells the smell of death. She smells these rotting corpses. She complains to her landlord. She complains to the police. Nobody's doing shit about it. and the emotion in her face, the concern she shows for these people she sees Jeffrey bringing back to his apartment. She nails it. And I'm sure the smell was horrible, like the very first episode when he brings his last victim home, Tracy, who escapes that he met at the bar or wherever. First thing he says when he walks in the apartment is, "What is that smell?" And Jeffrey, he's always coming up with these excuses like, "Oh, my family sent me some meat that went bad." Or, "My fish died." Or I tried cooking something that I've never tried before and I didn't do it very well. You know what I mean? Like, bruh, this show is very emotional. It will get you in your feels, and it might terrify you at the same time. The cops won't listen to her. She's called them out now how many times, and Jeffrey Dahmer. One thing they did do with the show was, excuse me, whoo, this beer got me. Jeffrey Dahmer is a monster. He is pure evil. But what they do with this show is they actually make you sympathize for Jeffrey Dahmer. You know what I'm saying? Like, they make you feel bad for him. And, some people feel bad for him in real life. He committed some heinous acts, but, dude, he was extremely unstable, and he was just not well at all. And what I gather from, because y'all know I'm a weirdo, I've studied many serial killers, and one thing I'd like to say is, yes, they do add extra shit in there because it's a series, it's supposed to be
I just had a couple beers.
but for the most part, they do stay true to the events that really happened in real life. Unlike a lot of these other movies they put out just, for a cash grab. I feel like Dahmer
is that right?
really wanted
your
to
whole
tell
life ahead of you. And I'm not
the
going to fuck
neighborhood
that up by
story,
arresting you.
the neighbor's story,
Okay.
Let these
Right,
people
your
have
asshole.
a voice who didn't have a voice before. And the police ain't do shit for the longest time. I mean, come on. They brought a 14-year-old boy back to Jeffrey Dahmer. These cops wasn't doing shit. You know what I mean? And they should take the blame. And there's 2 cops in this series. I don't know if this happened in real life. I know that happened in real life with them bringing the boy back. But I don't know if the cops, got fired, then brought back, and then, all this and that shit. But it just shows you some law enforcement officers, they just don't care. They're just there to work their shift. They don't want to help the community. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I was a little afraid to watch this show. I watched it last week. I wanted to put this review out days ago, but I've been busy as hell at work. You know what I mean? But I was afraid to watch it because I was like, oh man, I don't know if... Because I know the whole Jeffrey Dahmer story because, like I told y'all, I'm weird and I've studied serial killers. I was afraid to watch this. I didn't want to really watch Jeffrey Dahmer raping dudes and, having sex with corpses and shit like that. And that's what they do so well with this show is you don't see it, you hear it through the vents of the neighbor's apartment. And I know I keep mentioning that, but that's definitely one of my favorite things in the show was that. It's all theater of the mind. And I'm trying not to give too much away for the people who haven't seen it. So I'm not going to try to point out, any plot points. But one thing I also do like about this show is, and it confused Katie. They confused my old lady, but she got caught up. I like how it jumps around from each event. And it doesn't do these events in order.
Here we are.
You know what I mean? It's like
Home sweet home.
Jeffrey's interrogation. And they're showing... what all happened. Like, the show starts off with his last victim escaping, him getting arrested. Then we flash back to his childhood. Then we skip to this event. Then we skip to that event. And I liked it. I thought it was creative. The music choices for this, like when it comes to an actual score, there's not too much. But I do like the little sounds and the little, instrumentals at the end of every episode. And it's just like a little quick 3-second sound, you know what I'm saying? But I thought the music was done well. The club scenes, they were done very well. Making it look like certain time frames, like the late 70s to the early 90s, I thought that was done really well. And it's a show, it's very intense. It's a show that makes you feel like, dude, there's really people out there that do these kinds of things, that do this to other people, who harm people like this. Like, it's intense. Especially looking at it from the people around Jeffrey's point of view. Because essentially, we are those people. You know what I mean? We are those people that were around him from this view. And I really liked it. I thought it was great. And if they make more, serial killer movie or series on Netflix like this, I feel like they should have Ryan Murphy behind it. And y'all know who Ryan Murphy is, behind American Horror Story. He was behind this. And I just thought it was really good. I was like, hell yeah, man, this is actually really good. It's intense, you tear up at times. The Tony episode, y'all already know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. I'm not going to say too much about it, but that episode, man, those few episodes involving Tony, it's very intense. But that's my thoughts on Dahmer. Now streaming on Netflix, y'all definitely got to check it out. Did you guys enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know down in the comments. If there was a specific thing in this series that stood out to you, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear what stood out to you. Certain episodes, certain events that happened in this scenario, you know what I'm saying? But I definitely have a few episodes that really stood out to me. And we'll talk more about them in the future, but it's still fresh. We ain't going to talk about, too much. Don't want to ruin it for everybody, you know what I'm saying? But let me know down in the comments, did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, guys, coming at you from ADiktion TV.